And welcome into the OCR Lounge. Today we have a super special guest. It is our first student athlete, and it comes at a perfect time where Fallon Humphries was just named the Gatorade Volleyball Player of the Year for Mississippi. What an amazing honor. She's going to talk about that. She's going to talk about when she played volleyball for the first time. She's also going to go to the University of North Florida playing volleyball, and her sister is there as well. So all that and a lot more in this podcast brought to you by Watkins Construction and Roofing. We're in their studio today. Thank you to Watkins Construction and Roofing for all of your support of MRA Athletics. And I want to welcome in Fallon Humphries. Fallon, thank you so much for taking time out of your day to
Thank you for having me.
Come joining us in the OCR Lounge. So some cool things that are on the horizon. I want to talk about one thing in particular. I might want to move the microphone. It's like right up in your grip. You don't have to have it that close.
I'm sorry.
One thing that's really cool is you're the team captain of the first ever volleyball state championship. We're going to talk about that. But one thing I want to talk about right now is the thing that was new on the horizon for you is being the Gatorade Player of the Year for Mississippi for volleyball and what that honor means to you, because I know a lot of work that goes behind the scenes came through that. So talk me through this season and what was so special about you being the Player of the Year.
Yeah. At the start of the season, like me and Coach Ross were definitely trying to figure out just ways that we could get that achievement, since it's hard, since Jay's had it the past 50 times.
Right.
So I think we had to focus on stats, because that's a thing, and just putting in the work to get to that point. Yeah. And then just outside work, like helping animals like in the Webster, and just outside community work. I went to go help the seed stirrers, as we like to call them. Yep. So just I love doing outside work. That's something we wanted to focus on, because I know that's a big part of it. And then just putting in the work to do it. Right.
Well, I think, and helping you with that whole thing getting accomplished, right? There's a lot of paperwork and all that stuff.
Right.
But one of the cool things is you went overseas on a mission trip to help youth sports. And I think that's one of those things. You do stuff locally, but I think when you go on mission trips and you're out of the country, tell me about that experience.
It was like, that was my ultimate favorite trip. It was a group of 6 girls, and they were all senior, Dominican Republic. Yeah. It was all seniors and 2 juniors, me and my friend. And we thought it'd be fun to help out the community around them. And we had no idea what we were getting into. Coach Stamp and Miss Reeves, this is the first time they were doing it. And we were like, well, it's a small group. It could probably, be good being such a small group. And so we went there and we collaborated with these 2 groups and to help a school and clean up their school, help the children, do fun activities. Yeah. And it was amazing. You just see all these kids just coming piling at you, hugging. And it's just that's not something normal people would do around here.
Right.
And it's just filled with so much joy. And you see all these kids, and it just makes you so happy. And you want to fill them with the Lord, and going to different places and knowing how blessed we are here, and just wanting to do that there.
That's interesting. Did you teach them volleyball? Any volleyball?
I did teach one.
All right, so what did you teach him?
So there was 2 kids, and one was actually really good. And so I was passing back and forth with him, and this other kid wasn't. He was I didn't understand what they were saying, and he was yelling at him. I was like, okay, maybe he's not too good, so we'll just keep going. But there was just a ball there, and so we just kept passing back and forth.
That's awesome.
So then I tried to get the translator going, just asking him if he's played a lot.
Right.
And so his mom was the one who works there, a teacher, and I was talking to Coach Champ. I was like, I got to get this kid a volleyball, just to take home with him, because he didn't have anything.
Right.
And so I brought it to him the next day, and he was I have a picture of it. It's the cutest thing I've ever seen. But I talked to him, and he was hugging me. And then the mom came, and she was like, I'm so appreciative. They have a sister, and they also did volleyball. And so just sharing it, it was amazing.
Well, stay tuned. We'll get that picture put up on this podcast. If you're tuning in to our YouTube channel, we'll have that up there for you. I think that's really cool that to see the joy in your eyes right now for the people that are listening to the podcast. I can just see how happy that made you to help others. And I think that's part of the community that, as believers, that's what we're in. That's what we're called to do, is to share God's word, but then just see the joy in somebody's face, a little guy like understanding volleyball and seeing that. So that's really, really cool. The other part of the Gatorade Player of the Year that I want to mention is it's for volleyball, but you have to be well versed in other sports as well. You took a break from basketball. Now you're helping the girls basketball team. You all are undefeated in conference play, currently entering postseason play. You're also, a track phenom with the discus. That's one of those things. So you're a multi-sport athlete, and I think it says a lot for people in today's world that are trying to specialize. What does it mean to you to play 3 different sports? The one you love the most is volleyball, right? And you're going to go and play college, and we'll talk about it here in a minute. But to be Gatorade Player of the Year, I mean, that's for that sport. How do those other 2 sports kind of help you toward that goal?
Right. It's obviously a difficult thing if you don't know how to maintain your time well. But I think, and they're totally different things. Like one is so much running and one is no running at all.
Right.
And I think all of the different like techniques and all these things all somehow incorporate into the things that I'm needing. Like if I need to strengthen my arm strength, like I do more discus and like it helps my shoulders, my hip movement, and basketball, I'll be 10 times more in shape.
Right.
Yep. And jumping. There's just so many different things that all like incorporates in the same thing. And it just leads me into like wanting to do more. Like I cannot stay still for 1 second. Like I have nothing to do. So I like to be productive.
Right.
And so what more to do than basketball? Right.
So I mean, to athletes that are going to be listening to this, your friends are going to be listening to this, younger students are going to be listening to this. Specialization. Would you have probably achieved this or go play college if you just went and said, hey, I'm going to do one sport. I'm going to do one sport for my whole high school career. Is that advantageous, or is that kind of lean against that a little bit?
I would say brought out in the beginning because I did all 3, and then I stopped basketball to focus on volleyball. You have to have certain times where
you still do the discus.
Right.
Yeah.
You have to have times where you want to focus on it more and be like, I'm focusing on this, but I'll still, like, on a side thing, only focus on discus for a little bit. So it's prioritizing what you want to work on the most, but also having a side thing.
Yeah, it's a great word, prioritizing. I think that a lot of time, and then time management comes into play and all that stuff.
Sure.
All right, let's fast forward a little bit.
Okay.
When did you start loving, this is a fast forward, this is a rewind. When did you start loving volleyball? Because your sister, Cam, was a great volleyball player for us. When did that love kind of just come into play for you?
Her coach, so her club coach moved, and he started a new club, and I was 11 at the time, and she was following him wherever he was going coaching wise. So he started up a club, and we helped build it from like the ground up and everything. The Koki Volleyball Club. So like we're building tiles all over the floor, building courts and everything. And so he was like, do you want to like play up with your sister? And he was like 3 years older. And I was like, I guess. And so I started, and I did like school ball and everything. And like, that was fine.
Right.
But playing at like a competitive level, at first I didn't know like kind of what I was doing. But during that first club season when I was playing with my sister, like, I just knew that was something that I wanted to do. And that was an early age for me, but I knew that was something that I would enjoy and like pursue.
Right. So I guess 8 years old is when you really started playing?
Right.
Wow. How were there some learning curves on that? Because when I start looking at the younger girls, like 6th grade, right? 12 years old, 11 years old, and they're starting to do the developmental stuff. You have a 3rd and 4th grade deal that they're starting to do at MRA, but I look at how you serve, the hand-eye coordination of setting, of a kill, like all those things. Like, did Cam help you at all? Did your parents help you at all?
It was just my coach. Like he, like everything I know is from him.
Wow.
And I would for sure tell him that to this day. Like he has taught me everything I know, like passing, serving, to everything.
Even the jump serve.
Yes, everything.
That's
so
awesome.
I appreciate that, and that's just a huge thing for me that I pride myself on.
Yeah, well, let's go into this high school season.
Okay.
Because this was a fun one.
It was.
It was a fun one. I'm going to rewind to go forward. Little setback from last year, right? You make it to the state championship game. Y'all are in it. You take them to a fifth set. We're talking about Jackson Academy. Take them to a fifth set. They end up getting it. I think there was a controversial point that kind of swayed. And for volleyball, I mean, it's
right.
how the points are awarded. You know, some people know how they're scored, but it's each time the ball goes over the net, there's a time for a point.
Right.
So you get through that, the agony of defeat. Sometimes you got to lose to win. And the program has been growing and growing and growing. I mean, even since when you were in, I think, 4th grade and Cam was in 6th grade or 7th grade. So it was growing. To this year, y'all go and just start dominating everybody. Let's talk about off season to the preparation of the summer. Like, if you had to summarize this season, what would it be? And then we'll talk about the state tournament.
I think that everybody was focused. Like, we had one goal, and that was to win a championship.
Mm-hmm.
Like, some of our girls have been a part of all two
Mm-hmm.
of these championships and hoping for a third one.
Yeah.
And we know falling short, like how that felt, and we were so tired of it. And I think Coach Ross was tired of it too. So I think the off season, we were in the gym, we were working out, 6 a.m. practices, and sure, it was not the most fun sometimes, but we really wanted to get to that next level.
Because y'all worked out before school started. Like, before
Right.
anybody got to the campus, y'all were there at like 5:30. Y'all were getting after it.
Yes. It was a long process. Like, we started so early because we knew how much we had to progress as a team, like team building, mentally, physically, and just like as a team, we knew we had to grow. And
how important is that?
It's so important. Like, I think a few years ago there was just, we kind of played as individuals with our own skills, but now like finally coming together and knowing each other's like best abilities,
right,
and just playing together and knowing like she can do this.
I think especially with females too.
Yeah.
With a girls sport, you have to be tight in because there's
right.
And I'm not going to single out girls versus guys, but
Right.
I think it's more in a girls sport that you have to have that sisterly bond of, you know,
because it can be very apparent if there's not.
That's right.
So, and I think that that's something that we did a great job with this year. Like, we played as a team, no matter what. If there was like a game in season, like, we nipped it in the butt and we were like, we're not doing this. Like, we have a goal to win. So I think that we did a really good job with that and keeping each other accountable for that.
Yeah. So in terms of that, like the tournaments and all that stuff, how long does the season go? Does it wear on you? You know,
yeah.
As far as because when y'all go to these tournaments, you play 3 sets. When you go in conference and when we're playing in the school, it's 5. You go to, best of 5. Yeah, 3 out of 5. So how does that, you're in tournaments, you're playing all these games.
Mm-hmm. And I think we like fully loaded up this year on scheduling.
Yeah, you did.
And we were loving it in the beginning. And then, sometimes towards the end of the season, they're like, okay, like I'm really tired. Like, we've been loading up on scheduling with tournaments and everything. But we wanted to play the best competition, and that's
right.
what we asked for. And I think then once we started getting closer to tournament time, we were like, okay, like we got to lock back in. And so we got all the coaching and everything, and we were like a week before the tournament, and we knew how important, even when we played Jackson Prep, like we knew that like this was a game that we just needed to like nip it in the butt. Like we knew that we had to get this done because we played the same day that afternoon, which was
that's right. They changed the tournament.
Yes.
It used to be a 2-day. They went to a 1-day, so you had to play. You got the bye, and you had to. Wow, yeah. I forgot about that.
We were in the morning. We were trying to get everybody to go, so we were like making an announcement. We were like, if we make it to the championship, because you don't want to be cocky, but you're like,
yeah, like we have it. Yeah, I think we're gonna go. Like we need you there. We want you there.
Right.
However, it can happen.
Yep.
You have to prepare. So let's talk about that day. Let's talk about you beat Prep and you advance to the finals, and it's same song, hopefully not the second verse.
Right. Okay, so we left the school and we went to Nukes, and then we kind of just got sandwiches and everything. So then we went and play Prep. We got that done really easily.
It's 3-0, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Which I was very, very happy about. So then after that, we went to, I think it was Healthplex, kind of nearby.
Mm-hmm.
It may be Healthplex or Baptist, something like that. But all of us took an ice bath.
Oh, there you
and
go.
then we did a cold plunge, and then went in hot water back and forth. And that, like, all of us were like I feel great.
That's awesome.
So, because we played like 2 hours later. And sitting in that facility, it's freezing. Like you get tired and you're watching so many games. Like you don't want to do that. Like we learned that the hard way. And so we decided to be productive and went and did that. And so then we came back and we felt like great. Like our legs were tired before, but now they're not. So we were ready. And then we had like an hour to spare watching the game before. We were warming up and, just having these pep talks. And I was talking to the girls and they said this too. They're like, 2 years ago, we were like giving all these pep talks. Like, we got to do this, we got to do that. But like, there was nothing like that this year. And you could feel like it was like forced a few years ago. Like, we've got to do this, like all this stuff, and there was just no pressure this year.
Mm-hmm. I think you can see that if you watch that match. There was I'm gonna say this very nicely. There was some ways that we're not losing this.
Yeah,
you know what I mean.
There's girls like pushing
driven.
each other around. Like it's just like a fun. It was just a fun game that time.
Yeah, I felt like it was the fear of failing was removed and the pressure of playing freely was injected.
Right. And that, like, we were kind of like feeling like that all season, but then the literal last week before we played the tournament, like it was the best practice we've had all season. We felt like energized. We were cheering each other on. We were playing great, like super intense. Wow. And it was just a whole nother team. And so we brought that into the game for sure.
What do you think? As a player, and coaches are going to listen to this too, right? How does that versus the coaches that come in and they're like pressurized, like you got to win this, we got to do this, so there's two different styles there. But I think your team took on the mentality of its leaders, which you're one of those, of like this is not going to happen, not on our watch. There was like a motivation from y'all, from the coaches to like, hey, let's just go play our best and see what happens.
And like at times, like Coach Ross is like, let's just play our best, like do this. And then sometimes when there's a close set, you have to kind of tie down on them and be like, we got to focus on this and this and this. But as like a team and as like our leaders, we know how some girls get stressed out. We know how they, respond to those things. Yeah. And as some of the girls I've talked to, I'm like, we got to like have a huddle after that. Tell them regroup, like they're fine.
Yeah. Don't let 1 point turn into 3 points.
So I think it's like coming in as a team after we have to set that straight.
Right. Well, they are the 2024 volleyball state champions. First time ever.
I actually went in. We were the girls basketball team was in the J volleyball locker room. Their little red trophy was in the corner. Oh, it's pretty good to see.
Yeah, a lot of hard work that went into that. Any bragging rights with your sister? Is there a little bit of bragging rights?
There's a little, and I don't know.
You don't want to rub it in too much with Cam.
She kind of gets mad, so.
Yeah. Well, you got two of them. You got two. Like, you got the player of the year, and you got.
Yeah, Cameron's proud about that.
Yeah.
But, she doesn't get it. So.
No, but that's okay. Cam, we love you too. We love you too. She was also a 3-sport athlete as well.
She was.
I want to go through some stats because I think it's important to go through stats. You mentioned it, how stats are very important. And although you don't want to go for stats kind of just happen. But also when you play that amount of matches, you went 36-8 this year. Right. When you play that amount of matches in the position that you play, you're an outside hitter, that you culminate those kills when you have those sets. So you blocked 513, or you had 513 kills, 213 digs, 100 aces. That's impressive. With that jump serve, that's killer. 25 blocks, and that's all during the season. So then an impressive 578 kill percentage and a 395 hitting percentage. Over her high school career, she amassed over 1,092 kills and 298 aces. That's impressive.
That's a lot.
When I start reading those, what goes into your mind with that?
I honestly didn't think I was going to make to 1,000. My dad and I were like, okay, like we don't like to focus on stats. We don't.
But knowing the stats help get the
happen with all the games and the tournaments that we played.
That's right.
And my dad's like, you got to get like 13 kills each game. I'm like, okay, like it's okay.
Let the kills happen.
Yeah,
let's win the matches.
Yeah, but once it started getting closer and closer, I was like, okay, like I can finally do this. And like it was like a big relief almost. But it was just a huge accomplishment that I've been wanting for a long time. Right. So,
all right. So, but to sum up the Gatorade before we talk about your college career coming up, you joined the names of Josh Hubbard and Kennedy Sanders, 2 elite athletes that have come through the school. Now you're mentioned with that group. How does that make you feel?
I
can see it on your face. I see it on your face.
I know. I literally have nothing to say. Like, I'm just so blessed that I even have this opportunity.
Yeah. So the opportunity is that. And then also, Fallon will be, as they say, taking her talents to the University of North Florida, which is kind of cool. You're there with your sister. Yes. So there was a time you were going to Liberty. We can talk about that a little bit. And how that kind of switched around, and now you're going to go be with your sister. So let's talk about Liberty first.
Okay. So in the recruiting process, like I was talking to a lot of different schools, and I didn't tell myself like I'm going to stay close to home or anything like that. And my club coach, like he was just reaching out to as many people as he could college-wise. And so when you're at tournaments, like these big tournaments, there are coaches that come around, watch you play, and, you don't focus too much on it. Right. And so apparently the Liberty coach came by and watched a few times. And then I got a text from him and was like, hey, do you want to set up a call? And my dad was like, you are not going to Liberty. Like, that is like, that's like 13 hours away. And I was like, well, just like give it a chance.
Right.
Like, and so I called him and I was like, and I could tell like God was trying to talk to me. I was like, I was telling my family, I was like, this like was one of the best calls that I've had. Like I felt so like amazing about it. Everything was super comfortable. Like I just felt great about it. And so I knew that was like God trying to talk to me. And my dad was like, you're not going to Liberty. And like I don't know what else you want me to tell you. And so then we talked more and more. Yeah. And then we were practicing volleyball and I got a text and he's like, can you call me right now? I was like, I'm in practice, but let me ask. And so I asked and I could go out. And he's like, well, we'd like to offer you and the full ride and everything. And, and with like extra money. And I was like, so then I immediately called my parents and they're freaking out. And so then the next thing they want to do is line up a visit. And that's
you got to go see where you're going to be. Right.
And it was spectacular. I mean, like they have the nice facilities I've ever seen. They have a lot of money.
They have a lot of money, yeah.
And it's a great private Christian college, and that's not something that I was thinking of at first. Right. But it was amazing, and their football team was really good. Watch the game. Yeah. But it was great, and the coaches aren't normally how my club coach is, and so I was not used to that. But the more people I talked to, like having a different coaching style may have been better for me. Right. And so then took them up on the offer and like I loved it there.
So you committed?
Yes, I did commit. So then I committed and then I committed for a long time. And then
So pause.
Okay.
Was that the only the recruiting process? They're the only ones that you kind of like, all right, I can see myself playing here. Or were there other ones that you were like?
There were others, but
I know a lot of the recruiting process is crazy.
Yes.
I mean, when you start thinking about football and basketball and soccer, volleyball, all those, our kids that go play different places. I know the recruiting process can be kind of scary if you don't have guidance.
It's a process, and like hearing from coaches like you're not the right fit, or it's a hard process. And I think I was in between two schools that I really wanted to focus on. Right. But literally, here's what I was in the Chick-fil-A line. I was getting my parents breakfast, and I just cried. And because I've been feeling for a long time, I was praying about it, and I was like, God, like, tell me where I need to go. Because I couldn't decide between the two. And so then I finally was told that I need to go to Liberty because that was my right fit. And so then I committed for a few months, and then I found out actually from another coach, not my Liberty coach first, that he got fired. And it was a big ordeal, not going into too much information. And so then I was like, I don't know what I'm going to do. Like, so it was a big coaching issue. So I was just like, I'm just going to decommit. Now the 2026s are about to get recruited. And I'm almost like, what am I going to, because it's going to be too late. So that I just reach out to the same colleges that I reached out to before. And then Cameron, I was telling Cameron my problem, and her beach coach is the husband of the indoor coach. Huh. And I was like, Cameron, like, I need you to do
I need you to be my big sister.
I need you to do me a favor. Can you please, like, tell Coach Doug, tell him my situation. I'm sure he'll talk to his wife. And obviously you don't want to force anything.
Right.
But I sent her an email, like I sent her my film and everything like that. And I obviously was talking to other people.
Right.
But I didn't know that was going to work out like that.
Mm-hmm.
And so then she texted me back and she was like, I sent her my phone. She's like, when can you come? And I was like, are you serious? And I was like, I was freaking out because Cameron's like, she's not going to be interested in you. I was like, why would you say that? But
you're not being a big sister right now.
But then she texted back and I was like, okay, like this is good. Like we're in contact. Yeah. So I finally got some from other colleges and then she was like, okay, we need you to be here for our camp. Mm-hmm. And that's when we'll do your visit. But then I had to go to another camp up in Jacksonville that same weekend.
Right.
And so the camp it took forever. And so we're going from like 7 a.m. to have breakfast with the coaches, then to camp for 5 hours, then go have dinner with the coaches. It's just a long process of like looking at the college. Like,
so it was like a reset.
Right. It was like for 3 days. And so like, I loved it. It's super, super beachy, palm trees everywhere. It's like modern. I loved it. I love the coaches. Like,
who wouldn't want to go to the beach?
Right. It's 5 minutes away. There's like 4 different ones.
There you go.
And the coaches, like, I love them. They're super, it's like family-like. Like, you could already tell with the conversations because me and Cam, like, my parents couldn't get up there a lot early because they were working, but they would come like the last day. Mm-hmm. But me and Cam had to have dinner with the coaches like by ourselves, and it like there was no awkwardness. Like, and normally, you know, that's hard with coaches.
Right.
And it was just easy flowing. Like you could tell there was just some chemistry back and forth, and they're hilarious and they're super comfortable. And I was really appreciative of that. And so then she put me on a timeline of like a week, which is really early.
Right.
And so I was like, oh my gosh, like, I don't know what to do. And so, because I had that other visit, and then I like immediately knew in like 2 days, I was like, awesome. I want to go here. And so then my parents were like, score, like, we get both sisters.
Kill 2 birds.
Yes.
Or go watch 2 daughters with one drive.
So I'm stoked.
Yeah, can't say kill 2 birds with 1 stone. Yeah, you understand.
No, yeah.
Watch 2 girls with 1 drive. So that's a cool thing. You're going to do indoor though.
I am.
Cam does beach. You're going to do indoor. Why the difference? Is there a difference?
There is a difference, quite a difference. Indoors, honestly, harder to score on. There's 6 people on each side of the court, and there's 2 people on each side of the court for beach. So the court for beach is smaller, obviously, because that's harder to.
Right.
The weather, obviously, is a big one. But I played with Cam when I was little. It was the worst experience I've ever had.
Yeah, there's pictures that your dad has of playing beach outside, and
it's not good.
No,
no, like I will say.
I appreciate your honesty on that.
I love Cameron. Like, if you're listening, I love you. But like,
you know she's gonna listen.
She was the reason why I don't play beach.
Yeah.
So
well, let's talk about you for a second, because I wrote this down as you were talking. You're a ultra competitor.
Yes.
Let's talk about Fallon as a competitor. How are you on the court? Are you fierce?
I'm almost like too intense. Like, so started my club year when I was 11. I was my coach was like, you're the happiest kid like I've ever seen. And I was like, oh, like, yay. As I get older, I'm like becoming like Cameron, and like she's super intense. Like obviously I'm driven, but like I'm just hard on myself. And like I'm harder on myself than my coach is. And so that's a flaw of mine that's pretty hard for me right now. And that's like my biggest thing. So I'm super intense. But I think the things that I do bring to the court is like accountability, leadership. And like I do have good energy, and that's something that I like to prioritize, but also staying intense and like keeping my team like, hey, y'all need to lock in, like, but also like having fun. So sometimes I do get too much where I'm like, okay, like now I'm not even having fun, so I gotta reset. So that's my big thing.
What is, if you had to go and say your greatest strength, you talked about accountability, you talked about leadership. What is your greatest strength that you bring to any sports team?
I think a leader. Mm-hmm. I've tried to take on that role in basketball. Obviously, there's different things that you can do, especially with only being back there for so long. But giving people confidence that they need, that they don't have themselves.
That's great, yeah.
That's a big thing for me, like knowing like, hey, like you can do this. Like I've seen you do it before, and like leading the team when maybe the coach isn't like having a good day. Maybe when a teammate's not having a good day, like you need to lead that team with or without other people.
That's it. I asked Davis Dalton this when I had him on. If you had to go and say, my favorite sports memory at MRA is fill in the blank.
That's a hard one.
I know. He said the same thing.
Oh, but I don't just want to sit here for like 5 minutes and think.
It's fine. I mean, you have a lot to choose from.
Obviously.
You have the state championship. Yes. Maybe there was a certain match. You are Gatorade Player of the Year.
It's definitely a match. I'm trying to think. Oh, for sure. So we played Jay last year. Last year, first time when we were in the main gym.
Okay.
And we had
regular season?
Yes, we had like everybody there. It was jersey theme. Like the whole gym was packed, and we got them in 3 sets.
Was that the first time that
we ever beat them?
Oh, wow.
And cool. It was the best thing ever. Like the energy, the people, like, it was the best.
Well, as we go into that, I mean, I think about our student section, our Pat gang, and how much of effect they have on our sports team. So
and other people.
Yeah, and other people. Yeah, I mean, they helped you will that victory. I mean, obviously y'all had to play, but you had to have that. Okay, this is kind of I don't want to say somber.
Okay.
But when you go back and you think about your high school career, what was one of those tough decisions that you had to make? You know, when athletes go through that and you're balancing, you know, volleyball, basketball, and track as an athlete, but then you have the schoolwork that comes with a student athlete. What was the hardest part? Maybe it was a decision you had to make to go to a college. What was one of your hardest decisions you had to make at MRA?
I think I honestly want to say quitting basketball, because that was my life since the beginning. Like my parents, they wanted me to do it from the beginning, and I loved it, and I didn't know how much of an influence it was on me. And so I guess leaving that for volleyball and knowing that like the recruiting process and everything, I was like I'm sorry, but like I have to focus on this. And now like I love basketball, but that was a hard thing for me for sure.
Yeah. I mean, and I think that speaks to a lot of athletes, because a lot of times you have to make those hard decisions.
Right.
And you look back as you're starting to graduate, you're like, man, I really wish I wouldn't have done that.
Yeah.
But, you know, things happen for a reason and those things. So, all right. As we finish up this podcast, I have some fun stuff.
Okay.
You were the first one to ever win this. Who do you think would be the second person that would win this at our school?
At our school?
Uh-huh. Sela.
Oh.
Sela's
wait, like volleyball?
There. Yeah. Or any person. I think Sela Sandridge has an outside chance of this next year to double up.
Are you talking about like anybody at MRI?
Anybody. I'm just starting to name names.
Okay.
I went volleyball first.
Okay.
But y'all see athletes from different realms when you go into your football games, and you know, you see them on soccer field.
Oh, I don't know. I was thinking more football, but I don't know.
Who you think the next Gatorade Player of the Year in Mississippi for this sport would be this person? Who do you think?
Oh my gosh. I'm trying to think. Give me a second.
That's fine. I'll put the Jeopardy clock on you. We have the Jeopardy clock we can add.
Oh my gosh.
All right, what about football? I'll name the sport, you name the person.
Okay.
Football.
I don't know.
Basketball. Boys basketball.
Oh, Dampier.
Okay.
I would say Dampier.
Okay.
Okay, yeah.
All right, we narrowed it down.
Yeah, you had to do that first.
I'll help you out. What does your legacy want to be remembered as an athlete at MRA?
Oh.
When you leave here, I'm like, I want my legacy. When people see that banner, they know that I did this. I was this person.
I want them to know that I was like, I want them to see me as a friend, as the person who they could go to for anything, which I feel like I have done that. I want them to see me as this person's not going to lose. But I think the main thing, like even I want to pride myself on being there for everybody and just being a friend to everybody. And I want them to feel as comfortable as possible when they're there on that team that they could do that.
All right. Are you ready for the next one?
Okay.
When you go to the dining commons, what's the first, or what day makes you happy when you see?
What makes me happy in the dining commons?
Yeah, what food makes you happy in that wing day? Is it?
No.
What is it?
I like sushi.
Oh, when they add it,
Their sushi's good.
Yeah, sushi in the dining commons. What does Fallon do for pregame?
Ooh, that's a good one.
Mm-hmm.
I read my Bible a lot before games.
Okay.
I love doing that. I go get an energy drink.
What's your energy drink?
I switch it up every time.
Oh, state championship. What was it?
Alani cherry flavored.
Cherry slush.
Yes.
Yeah, that's my jam.
That's my favorite.
Yeah, same.
Yep. Yeah. And then I get a honey bun.
Iced or not iced?
Iced.
With the white only icing on top?
But it's a small one. It's not a big one.
I got you.
It's a small one. And then, yeah.
Music.
That's pretty much it.
What's top 3 songs on your playlist?
Oh. Swag Surfing. There was another one. Oh my gosh. Power Glide. I don't remember the artist. And Pump It Up.
Oh, you got to pump it up.
Yeah,
That's great. That's great. That's an old school song too, by the way. A lot of people think it's
and
new.
Pump Up the Jam. That's a good one.
Look at you.
Nobody
going
knows
old
that.
school.
Nobody knows that song.
That's like going back to
I know,
the old
my
Jock
parents
Rocks
raised me well.
1997 or something like that. For you
I
old
like
people that
that
are
song.
listening to this podcast. First thing you do when you go to North Florida is?
Go to the beach.
Go to the beach.
Go to the beach. 5 minutes away.
Golly. That's, for a person that loves the beach, that makes me really
makes you
jealous.
mad.
Yeah, I'm not mad.
Cameron,
I'm jealous. I'm not mad though.
Cameron called me the other day. I think it was not the other day. It was like a few months ago. It was like in the winter. She called me and it's raining. It's freezing over here. She's like, "Hey, like I'm on the way to the beach." I'm like, "I hate you."
What number? When you go to college,
10.
y'all all wear numbers 10. 10's not available. What do you get?
Oh, it's available. Already checked.
Oh,
It's available.
doing your due diligence. Nice. What is some advice that you would give to a younger athlete coming up through the ranks who's, say, 7th grade, of wanting to play college sports? What's your advice?
Don't put too much pressure on yourself. There's too many things that you try to do and like that you want to work on that you just can't do at that time. There's too many things that you're trying to like maintain that you need to know that's not going to happen at that time, that it could happen the next month or the next few months, that you have to know that it's not going to be like at this time. Like I can't make my hitting better in like a week because I've worked on it for a week.
Right.
So knowing, like keep maintaining that process of staying consistent, like consistency.
It's a great word.
And like you can't change in like 1 week. Like I can't change my eating habits in 1 week and lose 12 pounds. Like it's a consistency thing.
That's right. It's a great word. As we fast forward to, I just lost my train of thought a little bit. I was writing down consistency. That's a great word. Recruiting process. That's where it is. Recruiting process. Hardest part about recruiting process?
Ooh. I think deciding on who you want to focus on and the things that you have to cut out. Like you have to figure out when you're in your recruiting process who you want to talk to, how you like the decisions you want, like how you want these coaches to respect you. It's just things like that. Like how do you want your relationship with this coach to be? How do you want your team to be? It's stuff like small things when you're talking to a coach and you have to really ask the hard questions and you're like I need to know, like, is my spot going to be there? Stuff like that. Like, it's asking hard questions and also knowing, like, what's my relationship going to be like? Some people prioritize different things.
Right.
So I think recruiting process, that was the hardest thing for me. Like,
what was your favorite part about it?
I love the conversation. Some people hate it, but I love the calls. Like, at first, when we first started calling, I was like, hey, I'm Fallon. And they're like, I know who you are. I'm like, of course you do, because you're calling me. But now, like, I love it. Like, I love every conversation with everybody.
All right. 2 more questions.
Okay.
Chicken or steak?
Steak. Wait. Oh, because I eat, like, more chicken, but, like, I'm going to go with steak.
Canes or Zaxby's?
Canes. That was an easy one.
That's an easy one?
Yes.
A lot of people probably say Zaxby's.
Who? Who says that?
I don't know. If you're listening to this and you like Zaxby's,
I'm sorry.
leave a comment and tell us why you like Zaxby's. Fallon likes Canes. All right. What's the part and we'll finish up. What's your favorite? I can't say favorite.
Okay.
What's the part you're going to miss the most about playing sports at MRA? Because a lot of times you look at that and you go back to when you started with Cam. And now you got like 3 months left. You have postseason basketball, which by the time this airs, we'll know if y'all are state champs or not.
Yep.
And then you have track. And then you have graduation.
I think.
What are you going to miss most?
I think when we play these big games or we're about to play or after we play the games, the faculty is the best hype people I've ever met. Like, Mr. Self came up to me yesterday, like, you ready for Friday? I'm like, wait, what's Friday again? And, like, they even know, but, like, before you do. And
yeah.
so they're
Mr.
like,
Self, for those who don't know, is our high school principal. Yeah.
And, them talking, be like, great game last night. Like, I know that's what you get with a lot of people,
right.
But they're actually, like, super genuine about it, and they're very personal about it.
Yeah.
They ask you, like, oh, like, how many rebounds? Like, Mr. Cofield was like, how many rebounds you get? I was like, I don't know.
We won the game.
Right. Like, right. Mr. Broom's always like, how many points you score? Like, they're super detailed about it. Yes.
Involved.
They're super involved. And that's what I love about it. Like, they're so, every one of them. Like, a teacher that I don't even have. Right. You know?
That's
and I'm
great.
like, I don't know your name, but I appreciate you saying something.
That's great. I mean, you got a big one tonight. You got another one on Friday, and then postseason starts. But Fallon, we're so great to have you.
Thanks.
On this podcast.
I appreciate it.
We're so great to have you as a student athlete at MRA. Thank you from our athletic department. This is the fun part of my job I get to do, is to hear about your story and to celebrate your accolades. So thank you for joining us today, taking time out of your schedule before you have a game, before you go to shoot around, and taking some time with us. And thank you to Watkins Construction and Roofing for opening up their doors as a sponsor of this podcast. They're also a corporate sponsor for MRA Athletic Department. So thank you so much for all that y'all do for us that benefits our student athletes. And Fallon, here we go. You are the first ever MRA Mississippi Gatorade Player of the Year for volleyball. So congratulations to you.
Thank you.
And that was Fallon Humphries joining us in the OCR Lounge. Some takeaways that I had from our conversation is the ability to celebrate others. That was one of the things that she alluded to, of celebrating others people's successes, making sure that she's a leader. Even when she went overseas, and seeing the joy in her face of just now lighting up about that, of helping somebody just to learn how to pass a ball or just learn the game of volleyball. She credits all her success of what she knows in volleyball, which I think is amazing, to her club coach, who at 11 years old, and then taught her all how to serve, how to do all those cool things, and then had the support staff of her family and school of helping her cultivate all those skills to ultimately winning the first ever state championship and being named Gatorade Player of the Year. Team building was another thing that she talked about, and values herself as a leader. The other thing that I thought was really cool was she prioritized recovery going into the state championship match, of being a leader on that team, knowing the importance of recovery. This is a young lady who's going to do well at University of North Florida with her sister, where her sister plays beach. She will play indoor, but all that was packed into this. Fallon, as a competitor, is one that's fierce. That's what I'll say about her. So thank you again to Watkins Construction and Roofing for being the title sponsor of this podcast and this episode. So thank you again for Michael Deere and his staff for opening up their doors so we could record in here today. Thank y'all.